I'm doing a bit more hacking on my random coach. Can't remember what videos I've did with it before, but those who are familiar with these things will recognise this coach. And it was a 6-wheeler with an odd pivoted wheel in the middle. And what I've done is I've mounted an HLW motor block. Well, one of those motor blocks. Let's look. What is it? Yeah. HLW motor block. Second hand. I've used Meccano to mount it. I've had to hack the floor and all sorts quite a lot to get it so it pivots enough for second radius curves. And that runs quite nicely now, track powered. The wires come through on this HLW motor block, so there is the option of battery powering it. And well, the reason I'm hacking it about at the moment, I've just been sawing out some more of the windows, is because although there's a representation here of driving seats at this end, so it's almost as if you could drive it. The windows, well, this was the corridor connector. The windows that the driver sees through are rather small. But you know, that must be it. It's modelled specifically on a prototype. But running around the track, I wasn't quite happy with it. And I'd already cut a big window in the front there to try and give it a look as if, you know, there was a position for a driver to sit. And now what I've decided is these little windows, which were either side of the corridor connector, which has gone, I want to just open them out so that we've got a window across the front, basically, of this bit. You know, there's a thought, I did have the thought, because these bits here are doors on the side, that maybe, perhaps, I should think about changing the front end entirely and not having it with this stepped in part, but having it coming up flush, plastic card on there. I did contemplate, because look, the front is fairly flat, cutting out the door section here and just moving the door out flush with the sides. So you got the door flush with the sides, but then you've got, well, you know what? Let me think about that again. Now I'm sawing. I've spoken to you about it. Right, okay, what else about this? Well, it's got quite a nice little interior. As I say, that's the front end. That's where you could have a driver sitting. The luggage part in the middle with some representation of luggage. Cycle storage here with some bits of cycle rack. You'd never see it through the windows. And then the seating area and a toilet cubicle. And the first thing that you could do, of course, would be to add some different colour. I mean, you could keep maroon seats, but paint the floor, paint the walls, do something to change the colour. And I've got some of those cheap Chinese figures, and you could put a few of those Chinese figures in there as well. Make it look as though there's some passengers. And then you need a decent driver on the end. So there's a bit that can be done with the interior. It's quite, you know, quite reasonable as interiors go. Now I've got myself thinking about this front end and whether to do, in effect, what I would be doing is completely sawing it off up here, across there, down there. So taking the whole front end off and then rebuilding it. Wow, there's a thought. I'm using super glue rather than my mech. For this rebuild of the front end, which presents its own problems. Bits of plastic card to reinforce it, but I'm reassembling the bits that I've sawn up from the front of this coach. I've sawn out the window at the front to make it much bigger. had my fingers stuck to it as you do with super glue. So difficult to get everything lined up perfectly. Plastic ends up being slightly different thicknesses, so there will be panel lines. I think I can see, well, that's a gap, that one. But let's hope a little bit of filler and sanding or something. Careful, I don't know, something rather, scraping might help me with all of this. So there we go. That's the front end rebuild as it is at the moment.